22 minutes to 9. Now, Welsh housing associations are bucking the economic trend and boosting the economy to the tune of hundreds of millions of pounds. The Welsh Economic Research Unit says 81% of the £1 billion they spent during the last financial year stayed here in Wales. Well, it's helped to boost the local economy and create new jobs. Let's speak to Ifan Glyn, who's from the Federation of Master Builders. Good news for builders and contractors, I guess, Ifan?
Yeah, it's fantastic to hear this. It's a great achievement, and you know, housing associations, they are kind of quasi-public sector bodies, and it really is something that other public sector bodies should be striving for.
I mean, it's interesting, isn't it, that they're kind of doing all the repairs in the house building that councils just can't afford at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, obviously that's another way of looking at this is, you know, at the end of the day, when you have housing associations doing very well, you know, you could look at it and say that the economy isn't doing all that well because they're providing houses for, you know, the private sector isn't doing enough.
So how many of your members do you think are working for housing associations at the moment?
I mean, it's really hard to gauge, you know, this 81%. I mean, I couldn't tell you whether or not this is accurate, but I mean, what I can say is it's been very difficult for builders over the last few years, and housing associations has certainly played its part in filling that gap where the private sector hasn't been providing the work.
How would you say it compares here to maybe other countries where people supporting local trade? Because we were talking a little bit earlier to a representative of Tai Calon, which is a big housing association in Blaenau Gwent, and they say they really work very hard to keep all the jobs in the local economy, so all the contracting jobs, all the building jobs, and all the environmental work. But some countries, other countries in Europe, manage to keep more money in the local economy than we do here.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you look at across the board in the construction industry and, you know, even procurement, all public procurement, I mean, you look at a country like Germany, 98% of public procurement in Germany stays in Germany. So although that 81% is a very good figure, it could be better. I mean, you know, public procurement throughout Wales at the moment is roughly at about 50%. So there's room
of the money staying here.
The money staying here, yeah.
So you think there's room for improvement? That we should be looking to try and copy countries like Germany.
Absolutely.
So
I mean, this is you know, that 81% is a benchmark that other public sector bodies, when we build our hospitals, when we build our police stations, etc., we should really be striving towards that 80%, if not higher.
It's difficult in procurement, though, isn't it? Because, I mean, one of the things they've got to do with public sector money, obviously, is put things out to tender and get the best value that they can at the time, irrespective of where that tender is coming from. So they're trying. It's a balancing act, really, isn't it?
Absolutely, but the key word there is value, isn't it? It's not price, it's value, you know, and value for the local economy. When you go for the best price, you don't necessarily get the best value for the local economy. The best value goes when you employ local builders, and they tend to be the smaller guys that work in those local economies and spend that money that they make within the local economies and the local shops, etc.
OK, thank you very much for coming in today. It's Ifan Glyn, who's from the Federation of Master Builders.